Super Bowl 58 coming up on Sunday. The biggest Red Friday of the year, the ultimate Red Friday. Who better to have in than our friend Kevin Keitzman? The podcast dropped this morning. I saw it on social media. Kevin Keitzman has issues. He comes bearing gifts as well. Good morning, Kevin.
Hi, Pete. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I got to follow Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, listen, I knew there's not many people in this town who could, and I knew you could.
I mean, come on.
That's
I
why.
I love you, brother, but come on, Bill O'Reilly.
That's why I put you there. I said there's not many people that can do it on a Friday, but
He's
I knew
so good. I miss him so much.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, he's still doing his thing, but having that voice on Fox, I miss it so much.
What do you figure their ratings would be if they brought Tucker back and had Bill O'Reilly?
Back to back, 8 and 9 or something like that? It'd be monster. I mean, Jesse Waters is a nice guy, but he is a lightweight compared to those two.
But that would be the trio. I can't watch Laura Ingraham anymore. And Sean Hannity doesn't ask any questions. He just reads the same copy.
You know what I've heard about Sean from people that worked for him on the radio side? His radio show is now scripted.
Yeah.
They just hand him a piece of paper, and he just kind of reads his talking points.
I believe it. And then that becomes his TV show as well.
Yeah, and then that's his TV show.
It just drives you crazy when he's doing radio and has somebody on, and it takes him 3 minutes to even introduce them and ask him a question. And it usually isn't a question. He just leads in and says something.
Yeah, that is my biggest pet peeve on radio interviews.
Yeah.
It's like, you got a guest, you teased a guest, can you talk to the damn guest?
Right.
All right? I mean, it's not difficult.
Right.
Just start talking to him.
You're waiting for the guest.
Yeah.
It's like, waiting for the guest, Sean.
The listener or the viewer is waiting for the guest. Give them what you promised.
True enough.
So that's why I get right to a guy like you.
Okay.
We're getting ready for the Super Bowl. We'll talk Biden and politics, but this Super Bowl, you've been in this town forever. Do you ever think you'd see this kind of a run that we're on right now?
No, I was a little bit lucky when we saw about the first 4 or 5 games that Patrick Mahomes started. This would have been 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I saw what he was doing, and I said something rather profound that turned out to be right. That isn't always the case. I said, this is going to be the team everybody hates. What he's doing right now, this is going to be huge. And did I think they'd win maybe a third Super Bowl? No, I thought they'd get there. You could tell instantly that the whole thing was different than when Andy was here with Alex Smith and a system quarterback and whatever. What's unique is what they've done the last few weeks is gone back to the Alex Smith days.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally trying to get him to play like Alex Smith right now and not turn the ball over. Like that's the main thing. He'll throw for 241, and that's a winning game for Mahomes. This guy was throwing for 450 a couple of years ago. I mean, it's a whole different deal the way they're playing. But you could see really early on that the Chiefs were redefining what football was. They completely changed the game. Everyone else adapted, and so did the defenses. So did I think they'd go to 4 out of 5 Super Bowls? No. Did I think they'd win a third maybe Sunday? No. But I knew the Chiefs were going to be a big deal, and everybody was going to wind up hating Mahomes.
How about that? Now, you look at the last few weeks. We had Mike Lombardi on this week, former NFL executive. He does a big podcast and everything, and he said he thinks that Christmas Day loss to the Raiders really changed everything, where Andy basically pulled it back and said, listen, we're going to ride this defense. We're going to go back to the system-style quarterback, and that's going to be our basically approach the rest of the way. Is that what you saw?
It absolutely had to be that way. Patrick Mahomes turned the ball over twice in 7 seconds, gave up 14 points, one with a pick six, one with a strip sack fumble for a touchdown, and they lost the game. You can't do that. He hasn't turned it over since. And they haven't lost since. So there's no, that's the complete correlation. If Patrick Mahomes doesn't turn it over Sunday, good luck to the 49ers. I mean, how do you beat the Chiefs if they don't turn it over? I mean, that becomes impossible. Chiefs have the better defense in this game. They've been running the ball better than the 49ers. I mean, everything points toward the Chiefs. The scary part is I don't know anybody that thinks the 49ers are going to win until I heard Bill O'Reilly today. Like, that's the first person I heard say, I think the Niners are going to do this because the Chiefs have this problem that the Chiefs couldn't score in the second half against the Ravens. The Chiefs didn't try to score in the second half against the Ravens. They were up 10. I would say to people who something like that, if you were up 10 in the presidential poll, would you want to debate your opponent?
Yeah.
No. If the Chiefs get up 10 on the Niners, just punt it.
Yeah.
Just play defense and punt it and see if the other team can score, because so far nobody else is scoring on it.
Well, they knew they had Lamar Jackson.
Of course.
So, like you said, why screw it up?
Of course.
So, but here's the weird part. The Niners are favored by 2.5. I know. And we had a guy on from Vegas yesterday with DraftKings, and he said the big money's coming in on San Francisco.
I think they knew that everybody in America, they said 68 million people are going to bet on this game. Mm-hmm. And I think Vegas knew everybody wants to bet on the Niners because they don't like the Chiefs. So all your $50, $100 players that only bet one game a year or do whatever, this is the one they're betting. And so what are they going to do? They're going to have a party. They're going to be with their friends. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't like the Chiefs. I'm betting on the Niners because they just put in their mind, hey, this game's a coin flip. I'm not a professional gambler. I think Vegas anticipated that everybody wants to bet on the Niners, so they had to give you a reason to bet on the Chiefs. And I think they did that. I just think that's all it's about. I cannot think of one reason why the Chiefs aren't favored in this game. None.
So it really is the $50, $100 better is now going on the Chiefs, where they wanted to go on the 49ers.
They're hoping some dudes will flop and say, well, you know what? I'm getting a couple points. I'll take the points.
Yeah.
Or the money line is where I think it is. It's plus 105 or plus 110. That's just who wins the game. And they're going to give you more than you risked on the Chiefs in the postseason?
Yeah.
You kidding me? That just doesn't sound right.
Third straight game as an underdog, by the way.
Absolutely.
For this team, which is crazy.
And everybody's bet the game and the total in the playoffs. We're 6-0.
Yeah.
We're all 6-0. We're playing with house money at this point.
Yeah.
Even if the Chiefs lose, you've still won money this year.
Yeah, that's a very good point. All right, so you mentioned the Chiefs having the better defense. I think most casual NFL fans outside of Kansas City would say, what do you mean? San Francisco's got, the Bosa's of the world. They got all these studs. How do the Chiefs have the better defense?
Well, Warner, their linebacker, isn't playing quite right. He looks like he's not healthy, so that's a big part of it. I mean, he's really the quarterback of their defense out there. Bosa's a great player, but he wasn't as great this year as his reputation was. Mm-hmm. The Niners earlier this year had a tremendous defense, but they gave up 33 on Christmas night to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They were down, 24-7 to the Lions at home a couple of weeks ago? How does this happen? I mean, they're not playing well. Their run defense is giving up 70 yards a game more in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. The Packers ran the ball all over them.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. The Niners have all the parts. They just aren't stopping anybody. So, look, this one's pretty simple to me. If the Chiefs score 24 points, I think they win the game. I mean, nobody scores really 20, certainly not more than 24 on Kansas City. And while I respect the weapons that the Niners have, it's an unbelievable collection of weapons. You get Purdy just a little bit flustered, and don't we think maybe he's in over his head?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. It's just too soon. Maybe 3 years from now would be his time, but maybe this is just a little too early for the Niners quarterback.
I mean, you watched him at Iowa State, as did I, and I liked him, but I never said Super Bowl quarterback. I never had that on the bingo card for Brock freaking Purdy.
No, but again, they're a little bit like the Chiefs were with Alex Smith. He does all the things right. He knows the reads. He doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. You have to force the mistake on him. You have to either hurry him or hit him or whatever. I think the Niners are just going to try to run the ball. I think they're hoping Christian McCaffrey can run it. They can, and I think both teams will try to run it early. And I think both teams will try to stop the run. I think it's going to be a little bit of a pillow fight early. I don't think they're coming out, to have some sort of shootout right from the start. I think they both think they can stop the run and run the ball, and that'll be interesting to see who gets the lead. Whoever gets the lead, that obviously is a very big deal. But we've now learned that the Chiefs with the lead are a different beast. Mm-hmm. And Andy Reid coaches differently. That fourth down he went for against the Ravens, where he had 4th and 1 and could have gone up 10 by kicking a field goal, he will not do that in this game. He will kick the field goal and go up 10. Being up 2 scores on the Niners in the Super Bowl would be a big, big deal.
How about Vegas? I mean, you followed the NFL your entire career, and the relationship this league had with betting was so weird, and they were so against it, and now they're raking in the dollars. They're in Vegas. They got a team there, a Super Bowl there. Are they hypocrites, or are they just adjusting with the times?
They've done a 180, which probably should have happened a long time ago. The reason they did it is so many states passed legalized gambling, and so they embraced that. There's so much money for the NFL to be made in this. A couple of the owners are part owners of DraftKings. I mean, it's so intertwined at this point. It was pretty funny to watch some of the marketing and things going on with this CBS slime time thing on Nickelodeon. They have it for the kids and stuff. Like, they're in Vegas. They have things for kids to do at the Super. Bring your kids to Vegas. It's wholesome. We'll teach them how to play fantasy football, and we'll do all this slime stuff. Like, they've completely embraced it. We're going to, just like the liberals are indoctrinating our kids in school, the NFL is teaching our kids how to bet on football. You can believe it.
No, you're right. I mean, listen, it's like anything else. Gambling can be a healthy, casual hobby, like going out and having a couple beers. But there's a lot of young guys who are just sitting there on their phones all day Sunday, and they've lost control of it.
Well, I'm one of those guys. I love to bet on football. I really don't like betting on other stuff. I'll do it if I go to a Royals game or something. I'll say, hey, let's put $25 on the Royals tonight. I'm going to the game. It'll give me a reason to root for I usually would bet like the over/under on runs scored or something. You don't bet on the Royals to win, for crying out loud. So something like that. But I find really the only really fun thing to bet on anymore is football. I like college and pro football, and most of America is that way. That's why 68 million people will have action on this game.
That's amazing. We're here on our Feature Friday with our good buddy Kevin Keitzman, his podcast, Kevin Keitzman Has Issues. I saw the Super Bowl preview episode drop this morning. So, Kevin, I got to ask you, we talked a lot about football, of course, but Royals say they're going to have this announcement with their new stadium coming up here in the next few days, it sounds like. Bobby Wood Jr. gets this $300 million deal. It seems to me they're basically saying to the taxpayer in Jackson County, see, we'll spend money. We'll spend money. Now give us our sales tax dollars.
I agree with that, and I think the Chiefs and the Royals are both saying that Patrick Mahomes and Bobby Witt Jr. will be the face of anything we throw on the ballot, and that's not just now for the initial vote, which is basically a continuation of the same tax, right?
Yes.
Well, that's easy. What happens when you come back and you want something else? Because they're going to need more. The math doesn't add up. That tax does almost nothing toward a new stadium, and nobody talks about that. It just isn't enough. It's going to cost a whole lot of money to do this. The Royals bore me that, they set all these deadlines. We're going to let you know by then, and they don't meet them.
Yeah.
And now they have this ballot issue coming up, apparently in April, so they have to make some sort of decision. Now it feels like there's a gun to their head. They got to pick a spot, and it's going to be a crappy spot. I don't trust any of this. I don't like any of this. The experts on sports talk radio for 2 years or longer have been telling me, the stadium has to be done by the time the World Cup is here in 2026. No chance of getting anything like that. And it never was. There are so many people in this town that get so excited and don't understand what Kansas City is all about. We will drag our feet, kicking and screaming, until the bitter end, and there's a gun to our head, and then finally something happens. Mm-hmm. And that's the way things work. Then what they tell us it costs goes at least 40% over. So add 40% to whatever they're saying. The airport was at least 40% over. And now they got to make modifications to it because they screwed some stuff up at the airport. That's Kansas City. Now, that may be that way in every town. But what I've learned living here my entire life is it's always that way in Kansas City. Nothing is easy, and this was never going to be easy. I wish they'd take a breath. They don't want to be on the ballot in November because it's a presidential election. Yeah. I understand that. They're trying to rush this thing and bring it forward. What are they going to do, rush a crap? If they didn't know what they were doing a few weeks ago, they're just going to decide nilly-nilly real fast where they're going to go and tell us, and then we're going to put it on the ballot. Mm-hmm. Tells me that they'll probably change their mind after the thing's voted yes.
That would be interesting. So they're looking at this East Village site and then the old Kansas City Star building. You have a preference of those two?
East Village is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just dreadful. There's no view of downtown.
Homeless shelters all over.
Right across the freeway is the deadliest zip code in Kansas City Metro. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's literally more homicides there than anywhere. I don't even know what they're thinking about that spot. I kind of like the north of the river one, and I understand that wasn't downtown, but it was a pretty cool spot. When I went and looked at it, I thought this could be something really, really unique. When you're talking about a ballpark village or a destination area, that looked really cool to me that was close to downtown. The Kansas City Star building, are they incorporating the thing? They're going to tear it down? What are they going to do with the building there? Do we know? Yeah. Is that something they're going to keep open? Mm-hmm. I haven't heard. I mean, the guy that owns the building obviously wants to sell it. He's running around town trying to sell his building. Yes. Everybody's trying to sell to the Royals, but I guess that would be better than the East Village, but I really haven't seen anything definitive on the Star side.
I like that better than the East Village just because I would hope that John Sherman would say, I don't need a district. You can't build one there anyway. There's no space. Tap into Power and Light, which is losing money every year. It costs the taxpayer dollars. And then you kind of have, a little simpatico relationship there between the city, the Royals. Maybe they cut them in on some revenue share, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, or maybe they buy the ballpark village or own it or do something different with it or work something out with the city. I agree with that. And I think there would be a view from the Star position. If they built there and they did it right, you would at least be able to see downtown from half the seats.
Yes.
I think when people go to a downtown ball game, they want to see downtown. They don't. We're going to be talking about an outdoor ballpark here. Mm-hmm. We want to see a little bit of the skyline. It's not the greatest skyline, but at night, sitting outside in June on a beautiful evening, that'd be really cool. Yeah. So I get that. I'm for downtown baseball. I just want to make sure that there's some sort of a view for the fans. I don't think they ever really think about the fans very much in these things. They think about how they can maximize their profits. Just give me some seats where I can sit there and see a little bit of my skyline. That's all I want.
Now, the Chiefs are saying they just want to upgrade Arrowhead. They don't want they don't want a dome right now. Clark said he likes outdoor football. I agree with all those things. Are you buying it, though?
I am, because their number one goal is to get the Royals the hell out of there.
Yeah.
That's what they really want.
Yeah.
And by the way, Lamar started that. 50 years ago, Lamar Hunt wanted the Royals out of there. He's like, we're football. We should have all this. These teams used to hate each other in this town. They used to compete wildly. The Royals were the big fish in the 70s. The Chiefs thought that was wrong because football is king in their mind. So they went and clashed. This is going to be their divorce finally, to where we separate the two of them. I think what he's going to do is take a look at what they had in Germany. You remember the stadium in where they played this year in Frankfurt, Germany? Mm-hmm. That thing had a cabled roof. You didn't even know it had any kind of possible roof on it. This thing closed like a curtain and fell down into the scoreboard. Now think of Jerry World, or a place with a really giant scoreboard. So it had some beams up above it, but that was the only thing. It was totally open, and it came like this curtain. Anybody listening can Google this and watch it, the Frankfurt Stadium and what happens there. The whole thing goes down into the scoreboard, and now you've got an open-air stadium. I think the Chiefs may look at something like that. If they designed it in Germany and they can do it, it would be very unique here. Why wouldn't they try that at Arrowhead? for a game like the one that was 7 below the other day, okay? When you close that thing in, if you have the proper heating, you might be able to get the stadium to 25 degrees that day, which is a big deal. Or on a 25-degree day, you might be able to get it up to 45.
Yeah.
Those are things that you could possibly do, and you may make decisions that we want to close it up a little bit and warm it up in here. Or when it's raining, keep the rain out.
And then you could still do a Final Four.
Absolutely.
Or,
Maybe. Yeah. What's our average temperature then? In the 50s?
Yeah. Hit or miss. Although we always get that snowstorm around St. Patrick's Day around here, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, Kevin, I got to, I didn't know how much we'd get into the political side, but gosh, I can't avoid it with last night, Joe Biden, and we were texting about it when we set this whole thing up. That press conference last night, I don't get it. I don't get the timing of it. If I'm going to do that, I bury it today on a News Dump Friday. I do not send the president in that shape into a primetime press conference in front of the American people and embarrass himself the way he did. Why would they do that?
They want him out. I think they want him out. I think this is over. I think Biden's done. I've never thought he was going to be on the ballot in November. I think Obama and his people are calling the shots. They're clearly running the country. It's not Joe Biden. He doesn't have the cognitive ability to run the country, so he's not it. He's been a useful tool for them. He no longer is because he can't get elected. I thought all along they would wait until the convention, and Biden would say, my health isn't good, I'm backing out. They'd go to the convention. They'd say, we're bringing Michelle in, and she's going to be our candidate. Now, she does not like politics, and she does not want to run. But I think she probably would rather do that than have Trump be president. Remember, the only thing you need to know about Democrats is not really their policy and what they do. All they want to do is win. They just want to win. So they've got an opportunity here in the next 2 or 3 weeks if they wanted to. They could get him to step up to the microphone, read a written speech, and say, I'm ending my term January of next year. I'm pulling out, running for re-election. So he'll serve. He doesn't have to quit now. We're not going to hand it to Kamala. Or they could hand it to Kamala and whatever if they wanted to. I don't think they would. I'm going to stay. It's going to be dignified, but I'm not running. I'm pulling out. Let Kamala and Newsom, by Super Tuesday, get on the ballot. Let them fight for it. Their big thing is they can't disrespect Kamala Harris because they'll look like racists. So they can't just bring Newsom in. But if Newsom goes out there and they primary against each other, he'll kill her.
Yeah,
he'll just destroy her. And so then they get their guy in there. The only downside of that is once Newsom gets in, it's his party, and he tells Obama to go fly a kite. So that part is over. Because Obama did that to the Clintons, essentially. He brought Hillary in to work with him. But he basically said, this is my party now. So if it goes to Newsom, and they didn't want that, this would be 4 more years of Obama control if they could keep Biden in there. What they really don't want is for Newsom to be in now. They'd rather do it later. But if he comes in now, it's his party. And I think Trump would have a very hard time beating Gavin Newsom.
I agree. I think Trump wants Biden. And that's why I sit here and I say, just get Biden to the end because that's Trump's best chance. His best chance is against Biden.
That is my whole podcast that I put up this morning.
Is it really?
Please, Joe, don't go.
I love that.
Please don't go. Do not quit. Do not quit. There is no way they can run this man after what we saw yesterday. You can't run him. Can you imagine the commercials leading up to the election?
Yeah.
On what the special counsel wrote? I mean, it's just absurd.
They would write themselves.
There's no way he can run. So we got a problem on our hands here. Look, Gavin Newsom's a fool. His policies are bad.
Yeah.
He may be worse than Biden.
Yeah.
It may be a disaster for America. I'm not saying. But there seems to be, all polling says, 70% of the American people would rather have somebody other than Biden or Trump. Well, if that's the case, I mean, there's like Republicans that don't really want Trump that much, right? We've heard that. So if we got all these people that are saying we don't want an old man, and I've got 3 kids in their 20s and 30s, none of them like these old guys. They're immediately going to see Newsom, the younger guy, and go, I'll vote for him.
Yeah.
You know how many people don't look at policy?
Yeah.
They don't care. They're just like, I want that younger guy.
Put
him in
looks
there.
good.
It looks good.
Yeah,
put him in there. He's got a nice suit on. Put him in.
Nice teeth. The whole thing.
It's true. It's sad, but it's true.
I totally agree with you. And that's why, Bill O'Reilly agrees with you. He doesn't think that Biden will be here come November. But the best thing for Trump is to keep the guy around.
Keep him in, man.
Yeah.
And all the Republicans are just trying to knock him out.
I know.
Just shut up.
Exactly.
Just shut up. Let him go.
Let guys like us do that.
Yes.
But you guys you got to play it.
Don't.
Yes.
Stop with the impeachment. Stop with it. No.
I know.
25th Amendment. No. None of that.
All right. I got a minute here. I didn't get an official prediction from you on the game on Sunday. I assume it sounds like you like the Chiefs?
27-20 Chiefs is what I'm going to go with here. The Chiefs don't give up more than 20. That's the way their defense has been. I think they'll kick a few field goals in this thing, which is fine. I think field goals are winning plays. I got them 27-20, and in that is a takeaway at some point that leads to either is a touchdown when they take it away or a very easy touchdown inside the 20 where they punch it in. That's how That will be the difference in the game. A defensive play will be the difference.
You know who else predicted 27-20?
Who?
Your buddy Quentin Lucas.
Oh, is that right? Come on, I love Quentin Lucas, man.
Oh,
I love him. He just is what he is. He is what he is. He's easy to read, man.
Well,
the guy's easy to read.
Look for him on TV. You know he's going to be there.
He may run for president if Biden's out.
Oh, God.
I know he wants to. Get on the ballot. You know what? He'd crush Kamala, too.
Yeah.
Like the Kansas City mayor could crush Kamala Harris in a primary.
You're right.
I know I'm right.
It's not even close.
Come on, Q, run. Get the hell out of here. We need some new blood down there.
Yeah, well, once again, it's like you say, though, be careful what you wish for.
Okay.
Be careful what you wish. There's some radicals in there looking to take over. Real radicals. Like, real radicals.
So true.
All right. You're the man, Kevin. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Pete.
All right. Check it out. Kevin Keitzman Has Issues. That's the podcast. His Super Bowl preview dropped yesterday. Today, all about Joe and that disaster that we all witnessed last night with our own two eyes.